was a door knocker and an open houser. So I did open houses every single weekend for 3 years. I door knocked 300 doors a week for 3 years. So when somebody says, oh, I sent out a mailer to my geofarm and it doesn't work, it's like, yeah, do it for 2 years and then see how it happens. And you have to be able to commit, and you can't just say, oh, it didn't work.
Hey everyone, Shauna Martinez here with Performance Team with Real. I am here. I have the great pleasure of being able to interview Yvonne Arnold. She is a great big coach for Tom Ferry ecosystem. She's been around for a long time and has so much experience. I think you're really going to love what you're going to hear today. So Yvonne, why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and all the things.
Thank you, Shauna, for having me today. It was really exciting when I got the call to be a guest of yours here with Espresso Agent Grounds for Success. So I have been a coach for Tom Ferry for 15 years. I'm one of the old gangsters, original gangsters. So I think I was coach number 14.
Oh, wow.
And I think there's close to like 180 or 200 coaches. So yeah. So, and I go further back than that. I've been licensed since 1988. So you guys out there do the math. And prior to that, I started answering phones for my older brother's real estate office when I was 14. So real estate is just in me. And so I've been really fortunate to go into the coaching side of it and be able to help others enhance their business for the last 15 years. It's been a lot of fun. It's been quite interesting because I've seen so many different markets. And
yeah, I was about to say, I bet you've been through everything.
I've been through a lot. So, and successful every time. So I think I bring that to the table when I talk to clients and things like that and people out in the world of real estate industry, because it's not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. I find it intriguing with all of the talk these days, the change in the market, the change in real estate industry. Yeah. It's like, oh, whatever.
Extinction of real estate agents is on the horizon.
Yeah, exactly. And that never happens because we are people business. So I'm just excited that I can still be helping not just buyers and sellers, because I still do have a past client sphere business that I do in Southern California. I'm also licensed in North Idaho. My husband's a broker in both places. He's also a developer. So we're involved in a lot of real estate is our world. It's our life. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm just glad that my 60th birthday is this year in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So I'm just glad I'm able to participate and share and help others continue to thrive.
I love it. So you said something, you said you were able to survive all of it. So going off of that, which is totally not one of the questions I had for you, because you said that, and it's very relevant to, what's happening with today. There have been changes, a lot of changes through real estate over the time amount that you've been in there, especially you. Me, I've only been in 6.5 years, and there's been changes on there. But what would you say is like the reason why you have been successful and made it through every single different market that we've been in?
So I've thought about this like every time we do it, and I've said this all along. We always shifted on the fly. When a market starts to shift, you have to pay attention because you have to get in front of it. It's the Wayne Gretzky, saying, mm-hmm. How did you become the greatest of all time? Mm-hmm. I knew the puck was going and I got there first. So always staying on the cutting edge of knowing what's happening. So paying attention to not just your own personal market, but the global market, the US market, and knowing, hey, this isn't feeling quite right. We're too high. We're at a peak. Something's going to shift, and getting there first. So to give you an example, we had worked the 1990s California foreclosure market. So when I got in, I left a pretty good 12-year career as a title rep with First American Title. I was the number one rep in the area, and went into real estate in 1994. Okay, so I got licensed in 88, tried it out for a little bit, went back to title, and then came back in and went full boat with my husband and his family at RE/MAX in 1994. California was in a crash. The aerospace industry had gone out, and we had seen 50% decreases in prices in our market. And so we were doing all foreclosures. I was a buyer's agent. And then when the 2008 market came around, in 2007, we knew what was coming. We were like, hey, it can only go up so far and then it just stops. And we didn't know it was going to be such a global crash, but we just knew something was happening. So we started our relationships back up with the old REO companies we had in our systems, even before anybody
proactive.
Anybody saw the first REO come in, right? When short sales, when the market shifted and the big lawsuit of the REOs came around, they stopped foreclosing on people. And we had to say, wait a second, something's going on here. This is a big lawsuit. And we're not seeing the foreclosures come into our inboxes like we were. What's happening next? Short sales. And we were in the number 4 market of distressed market in the country in Riverside and San Bernardino counties, California. So when we saw that, we're like, okay, we have to start doing short sales. So we shifted quickly. We were not the Titanic. We did not take a long time to shift. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing agents taking too long to accept the change. And agents have to accept the change quickly and figure out what's next, right? And if you're paying attention, it's not that hard. This is not rocket science, right? This is real
estate. I say that all the time. I say what we do is not rocket science, people.
No, it's not. And
spoiler alert, it's not rocket
exactly, right? Spoiler alert. And so you just have to say, oh, I was a listing agent then, I'm going to be a buyer's agent now. I was a heavy buyer's agent. I was getting all my deals from Zillow, and now I need sellers because there's no inventory. Well, you better shift really quickly to start focusing on sellers. So you just have to change on the fly.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I think because of the guidance and stuff we get through coaches, this is not a plug for coaching, but I believe that people who are in coaching, especially with the Tom Ferry ecosystem, we know about things ahead of time. He's been telling us before, stock up your money, like, make sure you're not spending money on dumb stuff. And he said other things, but I'll keep it PG. But he said, stop spending your money on dumb things, and, and make sure you're loading the beginning of your year up because, there's some changes coming. And so we were already prepared for it. So I 100% believe that when agents just understand what's happening in the market, just like you said, on a global standpoint, not just for your local market, and you have the guidance like we have the opportunity to have, it makes things a lot easier. Because I do see so much information still, even though everything has changed. Not everything, but the way commissions are done and stuff like that, compensation is done now, has changed. There's so many agents that are still out there that have no idea what's going on. They can't fill out forms. It's pretty alarming, the amount of people that are doing it. So you talked about, or not knowing what's going on, but you talked about, being able to switch your business from a buyer's-based business to a listing-based business and vice versa, and those kinds of things. So what would you say to somebody today would you say they need to be more listing-based focused or more buyer-based focus? And if so, how do they transition from one to the other?
So I am always somebody who says it doesn't matter what market you're in, go after listings. Okay. So the old saying, you list to last in real estate. Everybody got in the last 5 to 10 years super comfortable with buyer leads. I've always called leads, purchased leads, crack for real estate agents. You can buy them on every street corner. Okay. And that is a bad road to take when the majority of your business is coming from that, because then you have a really hard time making a shift. So I'm always usually centric on listing centric. So when you have to change and you are a heavy buyer's agent and you have to go get more listings now, you have to start doing some things that are a little bit outside your comfort zone because you're not going to be able to generate a lot of listings from just advertising and marketing. Yes, you have to advertise and you have to market. I am not anti-marketing and anti-social media and anti all of that.
There's just so much more to it.
You're a marketer. Of course you are. You're marketing yourself. You're always building your brand. However, you have to do things that you are not comfortable doing. You have to make calls. You have to go out and see the people. Okay. You have to kiss babies and shake hands. And
as a politician, yes.
Exactly. And if you're not belly to belly with people, most people are not going to call you. And we've always said a buyer or seller will work with the agent who is in front of them at the moment they decide to buy or sell. So if you're not in front of them, whether it's digitally or retargeted or in their face at their door, holding open houses, door knocking, making phone calls, then you're going to miss a huge opportunity. You know, and so that's really what it's about. And it's about also, how do you talk to them? And I will tell you, prior to Tom, my husband introduced me to Mike Ferry in 1994. So we were Ferryites long before we even started buying coaching, right? And so we would go get the scripts and dialogues. And right now, there is a giant gap in our industry. Agents do not know what to say. They don't know how to ask questions. They don't know. I call it recon. They don't know how to get recon on buyers and sellers. So many, it's so funny. Everybody's like, oh, this new product has the ability to find buyers who own properties that can be sellers instead. And it's like, that's not new. You should have been asking the buyer if they had a house to sell. You know, it's like they just don't know the script. So scripting and dialoguing. And if you noticed that at the summit last week, there was a lot of theme around what are you saying, right?
Yes.
And finally, I was very happy that that's coming back into our conversation.
Yes.
So
I got away from prospecting and like script and role playing, but that's exact. So I took my business from a buyer's-based business to a listing-based business, thanks to Tom Ferry 16.5 years ago. And it completely changed my life. So I 100% believe that you do need to list to last. But more importantly, like what it taught me was there's no easy button. You can spend a lot of money and a lot of time trying to find something to make your business easier when what works is working. You have to work, and that's what works. And what people don't understand is that you build that skill set. It's going to be very uncomfortable at first. Everybody's looking for an easy button. You have to earn the right to hit the easy button. You know, I delegate most of my stuff out now, and all my stuff is by referral. But when I was in it, building my business and going on the 100 listing appointment challenge in 4 months, which is a very short amount of time to go, when I didn't even know what a listing presentation was, which I learned from the ecosystem. I ripped and duplicated it. But here's the thing is you learn through having to do. So, you know, having to go on appointment after appointment, rejection after rejection. And what I did, and what I think is interesting, is agents will ask me like, well, what did you do to improve? And I said, well, you know what? I went on Google, because it's before ChatGPT. And I went on Google and I said, how do I overcome this objection? So when I was making my calls, I would write down on a piece of paper, you know, this is pre-COVID, so I would do things a little bit differently now. I'd probably do video text messaging over like calling, just because I know as agents, we have a hard time answering our phones. So do the public. That's just my advice. But you know, whenever I got an objection, I'd be like, okay, yeah, bye. And then I would write it down, and then I would go to Google. I think a lot of people in our industry are not very resourceful. They're so used to having everything handed to them. And now we're in the world of, you know, ChatGPT. Like there is no excuse at this point, you know? And so I would Google how to overcome that objection, and then I would practice it. And then and what I figured out was it was the same 4 or 5 objections. So you're absolutely right. You have to start asking the right questions, and you have to get uncomfortable, and you have to start getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Because you and I both know that nothing good comes from the comfort zone. It's all going to be in the magic of getting uncomfortable. And then before you know it, like I remember when I start working out, I always think like, I remember somebody told me once that eventually this will just be the warm up. Your workout, you know, you'll get so good at it if you do it consistently. And that really is the secret sauce. It's just being consistent in what you're doing and having conversations and going belly to belly with people, just like you said.
Pick something. I mean, pick something that you
stay 15 different things. Just pick 1 or 2.
Mean, I have to deal with telling people all the time, stop going so wide on all these different things you're doing.
Yes.
Pick 1, 2, or 3
and
max.
Then go deep.
And go deep, because I was a door knocker and an open houser. So I did open houses every single weekend for 3 years. I door knocked 300 doors a week for 3 years. So when somebody says, oh, I sent out a mailer to my geofarm and it doesn't work, it's like, yeah, do it for 2 years and then see how it happens, right? And you have to be able to commit, and you can't just say, oh, it didn't work. Because I hear that still to this day. It's like, I did a retargeting. I bought Ylopo. I did this product. And it's like, it doesn't work. No, user error. You know,
100%.
It's you that's not working, as you said. You know, what's working is work.
Yes.
And so I'm all about profitability as well. And the reason we go back to the original thing that we're talking about, of how you make it through markets that shift, you absolutely pay attention to your money, period.
Yes.
My husband taught me that from day one. He's super frugal. Okay. And I would say, I want to send a mailer out to this area where we got this listing. And he'd go, well, what's the return on investment that you're trying to get? How many people do you think you're going to get to call you back from that postcard? And I'd be like this, what? Because I'm not going to assign any money to that unless you can tell me what you expect back out of it, right? And so I went to sweat equity instead of check equity. And I will tell you, it was the best thing we ever did, because we never didn't make money in any market, and we never went broke, ever. And my whole goal, people go, why are you a coach? And I say, well, it's not necessarily for the money, because we make a lot more money in real estate. Yep. It was because I got tired of literally watching people die broke in this industry. Yes. And there is no reason for that. It's the only reason you die broke in this industry is because you spent too much money.
Yes. And I have done that.
Profitability. So
I have done that, where we've actually had, when I was doing this 100 listing appointment challenge, I actually ended up having to sell my personal home to stay in real estate because none of my listings had moved. And then, but what was interesting is we sold our house, and then January. So this is at the end of the fourth quarter of the year. And I got 20 listings from 101 listing appointments I went on. So the percentage wasn't great, but what it taught me is how to talk to sellers, how to present myself, how to overcome objections, all that kind of stuff. And now my business is, more listing based than buyer based. But my first quarter of the next year was amazing because all my lists, and then my coach at the time worked with me on talking about price reductions to the sellers. Like, these are things I did not know. And so talking, and they were open to it when I was giving them the data and the information. They did the price reduction, and guess what? Every single one of those listings went into contract. And then my business just completely catapulted. And it was just an amazing, amazing thing. But I never even thought I could have those conversations.
You control the scene when you're a listing agent. Yes. You literally control your destiny, because you're taking 6-month long listings, and some in the luxury market should be taking a year-long listing. And you get really good at pricing, you're going to have a lot of deals under contract and closed. One of the biggest challenges right now we're seeing, and I'm seeing a lot of it, is people don't know how to price homes, and they don't know how to get price reductions. So we're back in that same mode again. And the reason they don't know how to price homes is because they're too used to just putting a dump number on it and having it fly off the shelf.
And that's
not happening. It's like, in some cases it is, but some cases it's not. And so you have to say, wait a second, how am I going to price this? And how am I going to talk to the seller about this? If it's still their home in 30 to 45 days, more than likely you're out of price range.
Yes.
And when you get it in that sweet spot, then you're there, because you start getting offers, right? And so you got to be able to understand how to talk to the seller about that they are the highest bidder on their home if it's not selling. Yes. And so, and that's, it is all about learning what to say.
Yes.
But not in I have an issue with the whole exactly what to say stuff that came about several years ago. Because it's fine. It works in a negotiation kind of thing. But when you're actually sitting in front of somebody doing a listing, or talking to a buyer about what to make an offer on and how to make the offer, that doesn't apply really. You've got to actually know your business. Yes. So it's pretty interesting. So I am a full-blown fan of understanding your money and tracking it, and then knowing what you have to spend. And when you don't have it to spend, you just don't. It's not a magic pill. You're not going to go buy something that's going to make you money tomorrow. It doesn't work that way.
There's a reason why there's so many different online lead sources like that you can pay for leads. That's what I really like about Espresso Agent, is because everything is just data. You're not paying for any leads. It's just data that's given to you, and you can use that data however you want in so many different ways. Like for me, I used it for the expireds and the for sale by owners when I was working the 100 listing appointment challenge, because for me, I knew it was a numbers game. So I knew that what has the most amount of data for me in these numbers, and it was the expireds and for sale by owners. And what I think is interesting is I actually got really good at for sale by owners. That's like the gift that keeps giving, which is interesting because they didn't see the value in hiring an agent. They didn't want to pay compensation. And the expireds, they saw the value in hiring an agent. They just didn't get it right. And now I'm really good with expireds, but it's interesting.
FSBOs are people that once you show them the value of your services,
Yes.
they are your biggest raving fans.
Yes.
And that's why that's the gift that keeps on giving,
Yes.
because
Yes.
they keep coming back for more and sending you more of their friends.
Yes, because you didn't overpromise and underdeliver. You did what you said you were going to do. You built the trust. You did, you got the results. Yeah.
Well, the really cool part about Espresso Agent was the circle dialing part.
Yes.
That you could literally run it through their system and it pulls up those phone numbers, and everyone goes, well, it doesn't have enough numbers. And it's like,
just keep hitting submit.
You're lucky, right? Just keep
hitting submit.
Exactly.
Yes.
Submit.
Yes.
And you're going to get more and more and more. And so I love that part, because again, I think you should be texting and video texting and doing all of those things that are now so good for us that we didn't have back in the day when I was really heavy into it. And however, I still believe if you make a phone call, that you're going to have a better opportunity to get in front of somebody. And because at the end of the day, it's setting an appointment. Your mission when you're texting or calling somebody is to set an appointment. Don't go over the market in that conversation. Don't talk about the NAR settlement. They don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Most people do not know. No.
Get in front of them. You cannot build rapport that you need to do this business over the phone or over a text. You really, truly need to just push to meet them, especially if you're going after listings. You got to go see the house, right? And so I'm an appointment setter. It's like that should be everybody's goal and mission, is like, if I'm on the phone or if I'm texting anybody, my goal is to set an appointment in my calendar to go see them at their home, period. Or have a buyer.
Is that a KPI? Is that a KPI that you think agents should be focusing on, as appointment setting? Because that's the only thing
1,000%.
that I track is my appointment. I know me and my coach know that my sweet spot is 25 appointments a month, and it keeps me about 15 pending transactions at all times. Again, it's just a numbers game where it's not rocket science. So would you say, along with setting appointments, what are some other KPIs, that key performing indicators, in case y'all don't know what that means, but KPIs, what are things that people should be tracking and hitting those numbers aside from just setting appointments?
Listen, I am not a college graduate. I have a high school degree, and I am a simple girl. And the simplicity is so easy. You're tracking listing appointments set, listing appointments met, contracts written, contracts accepted.
Yep.
Buyer appointments set, buyer appointments met, buyer contracts written, buyer contract accepted.
Yep.
It's that easy. Okay.
Yes.
And with the main focus on appointment setting and meeting, you might, some people get a little bit like, oh, we're paying our ISAs. They have this team and they're paying their ISAs on appointments set. Bad move.
Yeah. Because they're not always qualified appointments.
Most of the time they're not. Okay. You pay them on appointments met and then on the closing. Okay. So if you're thinking like that as an agent, you should be doing the same for yourself. I get paid when I go meet somebody, right?
Yes.
I'm meeting them to solve their problem. They're going to hire me, and then I'm going to close the deal. Okay. And then I'm paid at the end for solving all their problems, helping them build wealth, do all the things that I'm hired to do. Okay. Yeah. I'm seeing too much of this. People want to be information central on the phone or in text or in emails about all these changes to the market. Yeah. And it's like, why are you bothering with that? A new buyer buying their first home doesn't know that this is a change.
Correct.
A seller selling their first home doesn't know this is a change.
Correct.
Okay. Wait until the objection gets given to you.
Yes.
Okay. And then
100%
over the phone, say, I would love to explain that. Can we meet?
Yes.
By Zoom or in person will work. Which one's best for you?
Yes. I love that. I love that. So these are great pieces of advice. So just so everybody knows, this is a coach telling you what you need to do to be able to do a listing-based business. And now more than ever, it's really important that you know how to do listings, because we need to protect our compensation, and you want to be in control of that situation. And the only way to do that 100% is to be the listing agent, to negotiate the compensation in the contract with the listing. So if you're looking to get more listings, Go check out listingleads.com. And if you use the promo code Espresso, you get 50% off your first month.
Ooh,
Yeah, pretty good. And that stuff works
good.
because I have listings from listingleads.com. So
Let's talk about that fun little product, listingleads.com. So I got to demo it when it first came out, before it was out in the
oh,
public.
lucky you.
And yeah, and so I've known Jimmy Mackin for a very long time. I was my husband and I were one of their first clients when they launched Curator. And so I've always said Jimmy is probably one of the smartest guys in the industry when it comes to marketing and communications through marketing. That product is so simple and so easy to use. Literally, it's a copy and paste, and you can use it in social media posts. You can use it in mailers. You can use it in emails. You can do it in text. I mean, you can just take it, and it's giving you what you should be saying.
And don't overthink it. Just do it.
Don't overthink it. Trust me. Let me go a little deeper on that one, Shauna, because I have a lot of clients who think they're perfectionists and that they're copywriters, and they'll take stuff and they'll want to redo the whole thing. And I'm like, Jimmy just proved by running it through thousands of systems that it works. Why would you want to change it? Right? I'm going to give you an example. So when I go way back, I'm talking way back. These are Mike Ferry scripts from 1994.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
They're flashcards.
You still have them.
They still work. Okay. So, and I always said, you learn a script, you use a product like listingleads.com, you use it verbatim first. You don't A/B test it. You don't change it until you've actually used it to see what happens. Right. So, and I will tell you, most of the time they will work first and you won't have to change them. So why overthink it? I'm actually doing some things right now. I was talking with another company and called backatyou.com. And that's what I use for my social media calendar for posting things out on social media and YouTube. And I'm going to take some of those listingleads.com product things and put them inside and use them as social media posts, right? And run them through there. So people need to get creative with how they're getting it out to people. And that's a $7 an hour VA can do that for you.
Yes. Did you hear that? It's a $7 VA activity, not an agent activity. I'm very big on money-making activities and having a dollar amount with them, and anything under $800 an hour, which is my hourly fee, I don't do. Yes. So that's a great tip to use. This has been so, I could just talk to Yvonne forever. Like I see her, I fangirl. I love it. She's just a wealth of information. But we have to let her go because she's got to go coach people and make the world better. And so thank you so much for your time today and all your knowledge and your little stuff that you dropped. I have some little nuggets I'm going to take too.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Yvonne Arnold _. And that's the best place to see what I put out there. I give a lot of free stuff away. I've got SOPs built. So just watch there, and love to answer any questions anybody has over there on Instagram.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Shauna.